want you to take a video just from left to right. Can we tell the story?
Sure.
What the story?
Oh, can I tell the story? Oh, no, I thought you said, can you tell the story? I'm like, yeah,
I
sure.
can tell the story. I'm asking you.
No, I don't know what
It
story.
looks like it's the story
Of
of
apartheid?
freedom from apartheid.
Of the Soweto Uprisings.
Yes.
Those were the student gatherings, then the protest, and when Hector Peterson got killed. You see that reservoir? Those are the police barricades, and when Mandela got released from prison, people checked him up. The after started caring for our environment until they to the church. And when people are receiving Holy Communion, then the parishioners were there.
Okay.
Wow. And just like that, I was tasked with telling a story that I had never heard before. Didn't even understand why I haven't heard it before. It seemed like such a historical event. But at the end of the day, it's probably best that we start in the house, because it always starts in the home.
Like any other child, whether you are black, you are white, and Indian, we are all the same. Growing up, it's up to your parents, what they teach you and how are they teaching you. A black child always wish how it's like to be white. A white child wish how it's like to be black. So we will never divide ourselves. It's only the system that divided us, where they said blacks only, whites only.
The system that he speaks of is called apartheid. The township of Soweto, located outside of Johannesburg, became a focal point of resistance against apartheid's oppressive policies of racial segregation and white minority rule in South Africa. Under apartheid laws, Soweto was designated as a residential area for black Africans only, thus separating them from white communities. Under apartheid from 1948 to 1994, the black African residents of Soweto faced severe discrimination and hardships. Living conditions in Soweto were extremely poor due to deliberate policies of segregation and neglect by the apartheid government. Residents suffered from forced relocation, causing overcrowding in small, poorly constructed homes, lack of basic services like electricity and sanitation, and high unemployment rates. Residents were also required passes just to enter or leave Soweto, preventing free movement. Schools in Soweto, like Bantu education, provided vastly unequal opportunities compared to whites. There was also many cases of police brutality in the form of raids, curfews, and heavy-handed policing as a method of enforcing control over the township. However, Soweto's spirit could not be crushed. It became a hotbed of activism, fueling major uprisings like the famous 1976 Soweto Students' Uprising, where the protesters were met with deadly police violence. The struggle and sacrifices of Soweto residents galvanized national and global opposition to the apartheid regime until its eventual demise in the 1990s and its transition into democracy.
That time you couldn't be everywhere at any time.
So you just knew the rules and just stayed within
Exactly.
the rules. So
Because our parents were trying to prevent us from the police. Bad times for black people. Because we were being suppressed.
okay,
I couldn't walk in Johannesburg after 6 o'clock in the evening
okay.
because I'll get arrested and in prison for 30 days and sent out in the farms to dig potatoes with bare hands.
Deported to where?
Out in the farms
Oh, okay, okay.
to dig potatoes with your bare hands.
Oh, dig potatoes with your bare hands.
Yes.
Wow, okay. That's what they would do to you if they caught you? They would take you
Yes.
to the farms and make you dig potatoes with your bare
Exactly.
hands. Wow, okay.
As you saw those photographs, the segregation, because Soweto was a multiracial township.
Oh, was it initially? And then they started
accepted.
doing apartheid, they started moving the white
blacks
people
to-
out. Soweto, an abbreviation for Southwestern Townships, arose as a segregated urban area outside of Johannesburg, designated for black Africans under apartheid's racist policies of spatial separation. Prior to 1904, the area known as Soweto was made up of a few scattered settlements on the outskirts of Johannesburg. However, the implementation of racist apartheid laws by the National Party after 1948 led to a massive influx of residents into Soweto. The Group Areas Act of 1950 enforced strict racial segregation, forcing black Africans out of white-only areas of Johannesburg and into designated townships like Soweto. Tens of thousands were forcibly removed from their homes in the city and relocated to Soweto against their will. With no other options, migrant workers from rural areas seeking jobs also poured into the township. This created overcrowding as Soweto's population grew from around 200,000 in 1959 to over 1 million by the mid-70s. More townships were constructed to handle the influx, but infrastructure and housing could not keep up with the rapid growth as authorities failed to expand infrastructure and housing to accommodate this rapidly growing population. Townships residents endured dire overcrowding, with many families packed into tiny houses or informal shacks without basic services like electricity and sanitation. Despite its massive population, Soweto received minimal investment or economic development under apartheid's policy of disenfranchising and impoverishing the black majority. Schools and hospitals were severely underfunded by the apartheid regime. Economic opportunities were virtually non-existent. Despite the bleak conditions created by institutionalized racism and oppression, Soweto became a center of anti-apartheid activism and culture.
Inside the office, drink a high class tea, think how are you going to make a life of a black person to be more difficult. Some will rape our mothers, our sisters, just for an experience. Some will die because of they are hungry. Someone will come with good money and buy this one for 5 rand, make it 10 rand as an auction sale. The one will win will take that person and use them. Spend 42 rand for a black child to study, 644 rand for a white child to study. You see the gap? Mathematics, biological science, physical science, these subjects were never allowed to be taught a black child. They say this will make a black child to be intelligent. They will rather tell a black child how to do the handwork, how to do a washing, a garden, to sew, to cook, to clean. They said no, that's not education. What you are doing the very same thing that you did to our parents. You gave them a skill on how to work and communicate. You treated them like options, like objects you don't care. You put them outside.
Before June 16, 1976, there had been many protests by black South Africans against the racist apartheid laws. These laws included the Group Areas Act of 1950, which segregated different races into separate residential areas in cities and towns, designated urban spaces by race and forcibly relocated non-whites to segregated townships like Soweto, which created overcrowding and slums with few resources. The Suppression of Communism Act of 1950 banned groups opposing apartheid policies and allowed for detention without trial. The Bantu Education Act of 1953 established an inferior education system for black South Africans aimed at preparing them for menial labor and limiting their academic potential. Black South Africans also had lack of political rights. They were denied citizenship and the right to vote, leaving them no peaceful avenue to change the laws oppressing them. The past laws required non-whites to carry pass books to enter white areas for work. Perhaps the spark for 1976 occurred in 1974, where the apartheid government issued a decree making Afrikaans, along with English, a mandatory medium of instruction in black schools. This imposition of Afrikaans, seen as the language of the oppressor, was deeply resented.
About June 76?
Yes.
Every kid they out in school, they were planning each and everything of the government because we didn't want to start everything with Afrikaans.
So
They used to do maths with Afrikaans was going to be hard for us.
So the whole thing started because they were trying to enforce everybody to speak Afrikaans, and the children started to revolt because they didn't want to learn it.
Yeah.
Wow.
They started boycotting a lot of things of government. We used to say in Soweto, nobody goes out in Soweto, nobody's buying in town. We used to boycott a lot of things of our government. We don't pay rent, not going to school. If you go to school, pass one, pass all, you have to move forward with the next class in the next year. But was some of the kids they had to run away, they had to go to the exile, some they died.
June 16. It was bad. That's when Hector Peterson, the first victim in Soweto, got shot by the police.
Okay.
Because that was a peaceful march to go and hand over a memorandum to the Minister of Police in Orlando East.
Wow. And then they just shot him.
Yes. They blocked the road to the police station.
So what do you remember from that day? After that happened?
That's when everybody broke loose.
So did they...
This was started by the students. But the As time went on, elders said to intervene.
That day, it will be called a Black Friday. Today, when we talk about Black Friday, go to the shops, everything is discount, so that our kids, they don't understand what is the meaning behind. Just imagine I'm in front of you, suddenly I change, I speak Chinese language. I'm telling you, I'm going to travel all over the world. It doesn't make sense. You'll forgive me if I speak with you Zulu, Xhosa, Pedi, any other African language, because of our skin color. The very same thing happens with the kids. They said, yes, we want education, but now we are forcing us to learn everything in Afrikaans. We don't understand Afrikaans. We want equal education.
It's like going to out of another country.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the guys, they had to go to Lusaka, young in the age of 12, 13. Some they get passed away. On their way, they're running out in South Africa.
Wow.
It was a very tough time.
In Myanmar Street, it was a turning point. They were confronted by 300 police. They threw the line and said, no one must pass the line. We give you 5 minutes to disperse. Go back to your schools. In Afrikaans. If someone can come here and talk with us in Zulu, and that there are people that they want to kill us, we must run away. It's me and him. We will run. You'll be here taking pictures because you don't understand. Same thing. When they give instruction to them in Afrikaans, they didn't understand. They were singing, asking, what have we done? Is it a sin that we are blacks? They released the dogs. At a time, a life of a trained police dog was more important than a life of a black person. They took the stones around and stoned the dog to death. One of the police said, one officer down. When they said one officer down, they meant the dog. Because a life of a trained police dog has value than a life of a black person on that time. 3 bullets were shot. First bullet shot a young boy by the name of Hector Peterson. A tall guy, a stranger, just picked the body up and asked for help. That lady joined us, the tall guy, who are you? They were all crying. Then the journalist who saw them as they were coming, he snapped the picture.
On June 16, 1976, Hector Peterson became one of the first casualties in an enduring symbol of the Soweto Uprising against apartheid education policies. The 13-year-old Hector was among thousands of students who gathered in Soweto that morning to protest being forced to learn through the Afrikaans language under the discriminatory Bantu education system. As crowds of protesters marched towards a rally point in Orlando West, they were met by heavily armed police. When the march reached Orlando West, police opened fire on the demonstrators without warning or provocation, instantly turning the peaceful protests violent. Hector and his friends ran towards safety. However, Hector was shot by the police at close range. In one of the most iconic images of the uprising, Hector was captured being carried away by a distraught student while his sister ran alongside. The photograph quickly became a rallying image that exposed the brutality of the apartheid regime to the world. Though rushed to a nearby clinic, Hector tragically succumbed to his gunshot wounds. He was among the first to be killed by police that day, which saw the official death toll reach 176, though some estimates put the numbers much higher. The census taken of Hector's young life, along with many other children and students on June 16th, outraged citizens across South Africa and the international community. His death became a galvanizing force behind the anti-apartheid movements, resolved to dismantle the oppressive system. News of the child's murder at the hands of apartheid forces fueled rage that sparked the Soweto Uprising into open revolt across the township over the following 2 weeks. Though his life was tragically cut short at age 13, Hector Peterson's name and the image of his lifeless body became a powerful symbol of innocent lives lost in the struggle to overturn apartheid's dehumanizing policies. His needless death exposed the apartheid regime's repression to the world. While just a student, Hector Peters' name in that haunting image represented youth's struggle for freedom, made him an immortal figure of the resistance against apartheid's injustices. Can you describe in your own words anything that you remember from that day?
Because those were hectic times, because the police would just pass in and start shooting.
Oh, wow.
I'll be showing you the old windows we used to have, so that's what we're doing your ballistics. These were the windows.
Oh, wow.
You see the triangular one was the top panel right where the enunciation is, and these were the bottom ones.
Wow.
top part.
Oh, okay.
What about the ceilings?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Who was shooting at the ceilings?
Yeah.
Because those are the police trying to disperse the students.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
That's why I said the police will burst in.
And
Trying
shoot
to-
up, trying to
yeah,
get everybody to run out.
Exactly.
And they're trying to just disrupt everything.
Nobody was killed in this church.
Oh, thank
Of
God.
course, they got killed outside in the townships, which means that was intentional.
Yeah, so they was trying to get them to run out so they can kill them on the streets.
There we go.
Wow. The very church that I'm standing in right now played a significant role in the freedom of South Africans. And it played a very important role on June 16, 1976 as well. In the morning, thousands of students gathered at Regina Mundi to rally before their planned protest march against being forced to learn Afrikaans in schools under the Bantu education policies. The church grounds provided one of the few permissible gathering spaces in Soweto. As crowds of students and residents amassed, police arrived and tried to disperse the growing numbers. Tensions quickly escalated with reports that police fired tear gas into the church itself to drive people out. While many fled from the chaos, some protesters sought refuge inside Regina Mundi's sanctuary. However, police pursued them into the church, firing ammunition and lobbing tear gas canisters as the sanctuary was not spared from the brutality. Eyewitness accounts describe police firing into the crowded church premises and using tear gas against those who took shelter inside the church itself, including young children. As you can see, bullet holes are still visible today in the church's ceilings and walls from this police assault on what was supposed to be a place of peace and nonviolence. Several people were injured by gunfire and exposure to tear gas within the sacred grounds. Despite the violent attacks, the church remained a rallying point for the community over the following days and weeks as the Soweto Uprisings grew into a major national crisis for the apartheid regime. Its clergy showed immense courage in protecting lives and embodying the church as a voice of nonviolence in the face of apartheid's oppression. The sacrilege of forces attacking a church shocked observers worldwide, further galvanizing opposition to apartheid's injustices. The events at Regina Mundi, where the most vulnerable faced state forces unconscionable violence while seeking shelter in a sacred space, became seared into the world's consciousness. It revealed the moral bankruptcy of apartheid policies. Regina Mundi became known as a symbolic site of resistance and a testament to states' willingness to brutalize its own citizens. Members of the church community provided protection, first aid, and humanitarian assistance to injured protesters who streamed into Regina Mundi. The church's grounds were used as a triage area for the wounded.
Can you see bullet holes? 1, 2, 3.
Oh, these are the bullet holes from that day in June of 76?
Until late 87, which is a period of less than 10 years, where they were on and off.
Oh, different times where they shot in here. Oh, wow.
These are only a few left out, of which it is still preserved.
Wow. And there's one over here, too. Wow. Okay. That is crazy.
Can you see that?
Oh, yeah, I see that. Wow.
As well as, yes, second panel in.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. Wow. But you're still standing here.
You see the altar rail is broken from here all over there right up to the end. These were broken by the students running away from the police.
So
Since
this,
they were coming together, so it was sort of a stampede. Because you can imagine dispersing 2,000 to 3,000 people in some few minutes. Yeah, they were panicking.
yeah, and so they end up breaking this, running away from the police. Wow. So this church has a lot of history here in Soweto.
Because the altar is just above the basement. That's where the sacristy is.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Oh boy. Wow. Wow.
see?
Yeah.
And this is where you can prove that we're not using rubber bullets.
Oh yeah,
Because
definitely
if
not
they're
rubber
using
bullets.
rubber bullets, they should have bounced off. They
Yeah.
would have penetrated. Because
No.
rubber bullets are much bigger than this.
Yes.
So it is concrete evidence.
Man.
You got it now.
Yeah, I got it. It took me a while, but I got it. As this video comes to an end, it's really weird because June 16, 1976 represents the beginning, middle, and the end, depending on what story you want to tell. It's the beginning of the global attention to the racist system of apartheid, but yet at the same time, it was in the middle of the struggle of South Africa's freedom. And at the same time, it was the tragic ending to innocent lives for a cause that they believed in. So today, on June 16, 2024, we salute everyone who was courageous enough to take a stand against what's wrong, and even to those who paid the ultimate price of losing their lives. We thank you and we appreciate you for your part in the struggle.